The purpose the projects are created is straightforward. Projects are created to generate value. Nothing more, nothing less. Organization want value for them. Individual want value for them. We can call value as a business value or a value. It remains the same thing. We hire project manager to generate that business value. Who defines the value? Stakeholder defines that what is business value. Stakeholder can be customer, anyone, whoever is there, he defines what the business value will be for that. The project role of a project manager is more of a servant leader, or as book 7th now called it as a stewardship. So it's the same thing as a servant leader. While managing the business value, we need to ensure we deliver quality, scope, schedule, cost, those constraints, manage risk. And a very important thing, we need to tailor each project according to its uncertainty, according to its complexity. So we need to manage the project in this particular way. For the projects, of course, we need to do procurements also. We need, like we decide, should we want to buy or should we want to make it? We decide all those things in the project. But as a project manager, the most important thing is straightforward. Project manager need to deliver value. That's why the projects are created. That's why the project manager is there. And project manager uses resources, also known as team, to generate that particular value. Team is there to assist the project manager to generate that value. If the team is not there, the project manager may not be able to generate that value. So one of his main job in the organization is to manage team, who eventually will manage the stakeholders in any particular organization. So when we are delivering value and when we are doing this thing, these things become extreme complex. If you just look at these pillars, like these are 10 to 12, sometimes it goes to more. So as a project manager, we need to have a holistic view, the overall view of every single thing. For example, right, a few minutes back, Shaji said about exam content outline. Then other thing, if I am the project manager of this project and the project is to make you certified PMP, I need to have a holistic view of each thing. Holistic is a fancy word, mean you need to be an integrator. You need to do integration to ensure that every single piece of the puzzles comes together to make the puzzle complete. Every single picture, every single part comes together in a finite way to make the entire picture. So project manager, in order to deliver value, uses this thing, holistic or integration, is called as system thinking. This is called as system thinking in the project. So this is the entire framework of the project. Entire thing on which book 7th or standards are based. Entire thing on which you will be questioned. Entire thing on which book 6 was based or ECO is based. So if you have any question on that, please ask. System thinking is just integration, a fancy word to say you need to look at everything. For example, if you are changing scope, you need to look at the schedule, cost, quality, procurement, risk, how that is affected. It's not that you just change one thing without understanding every other thing. When you change one parameter, other parameters need to be taken in consideration. Right?
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
So as the projects are created to deliver the business value. So if we go towards the first document that defines the business value is business case, giving us cost benefit analysis, the monetary terms. Then we get benefit management plan, in which benefits are defined. It is defined who will be the owner of the benefit and when the benefits will be delivered. What are the tangible, non-tangible things? So these both are having value. From there, we get these two are called as business document. From there, we get project charter. Once the project charter is created, now the project is formalized. If the project is stopped here, this is a phase gate or stage gate, there's no project at all. There's no project manager. Once the project charter get formalized, we get project manager. He has a power. Which type of power he will have? Project charter define. What are the high level scope, schedule, cost, quality, procurement? What is the value you are looking for? Project charter will define. Once the project charter is created, alongside project charter, project manager, after project charter, he create assumption log. Assumption log has all the assumption of the project, all the assumption of the project, like the resource will not be available, this thing will happen, this thing will happen, things like that. For example, nobody ever assumed that there can be a war. There can be a war. So that's an assumption. Maybe if someone has put it, there can be a conflict while we are doing project. How many projects have been cancelled in the Europe because of current conflict going on, right? And if it was not in the assumption log or if it was not in the risk register, they would have a problem, right? If they had identified that everything in assumption log, because assumption log is assume either true or false, either true or false without proof. All of them are risk. So all the things that we put here in assumption log, they goes to the risk register later on. That's an important point to understand. Once assumption log is ready, we have the assumption log with us. We have the project charter. Now the most important things start happening. The most important thing is we start identifying the stakeholders. We use everything which we have, project charter. We already have key stakeholders here. Okay. And once the project charter is and assumption log is done, we share project charter to these key stakeholders so that they know their responsibilities, what is expected of them, like who has what key responsibility, so that no milestone is missed. So we further identify the stakeholders utilizing project documents, lesson learned, past lesson learned, using expert judgment, asking sponsor, whatever tools are available at our arsenal. We use that to identify all the stakeholders. Once all the stakeholders are identified, we need to analyze them. Identify, then analyze the stakeholder, then prioritize them, then manage them, and keep doing that. Okay, this keep on happening. You identify them, put them into stakeholder register. We see who are upward stakeholder, downward stakeholder, sideward, and things like that. We identify all the stakeholders and put them into stakeholder. We put them into the stakeholder register. So once the stakeholder register, it's a live document, and unless it is necessary, we don't share the stakeholder register with any single individual. In most cases, not even with the sponsor. Now stakeholder register is ready. We know who are the stakeholders, what is their power, what is their interest. We put power interest grid, and if they have high power, high interest, we manage them closely. If they have low power, low interest, we just put them into the watch list for future. If they have high power, low interest, they don't have interest but they have a power, we need to keep them satisfied. If they have no power but they have interest, we need to keep them informed. We need to put who are the upward, downward stakeholder, sideward. This is power interest matrix 2D. If we make it 3D, geography, altitude, it becomes stakeholder cube. If we have another way to classify, salience model, we use power, urgency, and legitimacy. to classify stakeholder in salience model. But power interest grid is the most used or the most asked in the PMP exam. So that is a very important thing. Now, stakeholders are there. Now comes an interesting step. Now we look at the scope of the project. We have the project charter, we have the sponsor, we have stakeholders. We look at the scope. Now, what do we look at the scope? And the second thing, we look at the changes, which also basically goes into the how we want to have changes. Is our scope fixed, or is it evolving? Is it variable? And how do we want to have delivery? We'll look at this thing. And according to that, we will select the life cycle. So if I make, there can also be other things, technology involved, how much we know, how much the budget, but these are the two important factors. Is scope fix or evolving, or do we want a single delivery, or we want a incremental delivery? How do we want that? So let's put it, number of changes here and delivery here. If scope is like fix and you have, this is single delivery, this is a number of delivery, no change can be maximum change. If the scope is fixed and we want single delivery, we of course go towards the predictive life cycle. Like building a house, we don't want to have any kind of change in building the house. That is a fixed thing. But if the changes are less, but we need multiple deliveries, we need multiple delivery. So we use incremental, like e-learning session, anything, like any drama series, how they come, any serial like Money Heist, one episode, two, one season, then the next season, then the next season. It's an incremental. So if you want single delivery, but things can change a lot, we make prototype in that example. So we use iterative life cycle. If both things can change, we use Agile. This iterative, incremental, Agile, all three are called as change driven or adaptive life cycle. Okay. Normally, normal projects are neither 100% predictive nor 100% agile. They are a mix of predictive and agile in one way or another, and they are called as hybrid. Every single project, every single project is maybe minimum 1% hybrid, 1% predictive, 99% agile, or whatever the mix is there. It's always hybrid. I don't know any single project that does not have, maybe, but right now, no project in my memory. Any questions so far? Now, let's say here we had a decision to make. The decision was this, for now, because we will discuss both predictive and agile. Let's say we decided that the scope is predictive. Okay, the scope is fixed and we want single delivery. This means we go towards predictive life cycle. Okay, predictive way of doing it. Predictive way of doing a certain things. Okay, we have decided. Now everything will be tailored according to that context. Context matters. If it was agile, the things would be different. Now it is predictive. So the first thing is that we need to collect requirements, and we use requirement management plan as a guidance to collect all the requirements, having a lot of techniques, facilitation technique. Just like identifying the stakeholder, it has a lot of techniques, even more, focus group, expert judgment, context diagram, prototyping, whatever techniques, document analysis you used. The purpose is to get all the requirement. Here we don't put any filter. We get as many requirement as possible. Once we get all the requirement, we put all the requirement into requirement traceability matrix. That's an Excel sheet that traces the requirement from start till end. What are the requirements throughout the project? Requirement traceability matrix. Once we have requirement traceability matrix with us, we also have requirement documentation. Requirement documentation is basically classifying the requirement as a functional, non-functional, solution, stakeholder, and other categories. So we have all the requirement, maybe 10,000 or a million requirement, whatever, depending upon the project. Okay. So for example, if you are working in a hydropower project, there are stakeholders requirement, like locals have requirement, please make a school for us. In big projects, they do have fund for that. So some requirements we do accept, some requirement we cannot do. Okay. So now, through the requirement management plan, we collected the requirement using various tools and technique. We get requirement documentation, requirement traceability metrics. Now we put the scope filter. This is which is defined in the scope management plan. How to make a scope baseline? It is defined in the scope management plan. In all the requirement, we put the scope filter. It can be Moscow. What are the must requirement, should requirement, could requirement, or we divide the product and do the value engineering product analysis. We check what are the requirement in the product in a systematic way to do. And when, let's say, we collected all the requirement here, the requirement that passes the scope filter can be like this. It can be 1 million. As a result, we can may have 10,000 requirement after scope filter. These all the requirements, it contains everything that we will do into the project. Everything, whatever goes into this, what we call as project scope statement, everything in project scope statement we need to do. What are the assumptions of the project? What are the constraints? What are the limitation? What are the requirement? What are these classification we put in project scope statement? Some people get confused between project charter and project scope statement. Project charter has a high level requirement. We want to make a hotel. That's a project charter, maybe having 2000 room and something like that. That's project charter. Project scope statement is we want a hotel with this room, having this lightning, this thing, these many washroom, these many kitchen. We need a swimming pool. We need a gym. Each room should have these many lights. Each room should be air conditioned. It should have everything which you can imagine in minute detail must be present in project scope statement. So once the project scope statement is done, then the next step is we divide the work into small manageable parts. That is called as work breakdown structure. Okay. Work breakdown structure, hierarchical breakdown of work into manageable parts. Okay. We divide it according to our requirement, according to the WBS standards as defined in the by the organization. Okay. So the lowest part of WBS is called as work package. The highest part, this one after deliverable, is called as control account. In between we have planning package. Along the WBS, we get WBS dictionary to understand what each work package or control account or management account means. Actually, we need to understand what does this mean. So what are the assumption, what are each detail of each of these will be defined by WBS dictionary. These numbers that we give them, okay, like 1.2.1.2.3, this is called as code of account, and WBS refer to them, and WBS dictionary also refer to them and provide all the detail. Once WBS is done, dictionary is done, project scope statement is done, we combine them, we go to a sponsor, and if we get approved, we get our first baseline, and that is scope baseline. That is the scope baseline. Now scope baseline is ready. Every work that you need to do, it must follow the scope baseline. If anything is not inside it, we will not do. Okay. Let's say customer wants to add something. They need to follow change control procedure. They have to go to change control procedure. And if after change control procedure, it is approved, then we add it to the scope baseline. Okay. And if it is not approved, it is not done. The purpose is that why we have a change control procedure to avoid scope creep. What is scope creep? The customer keep on adding the requirement. We don't want that. No, no, no. In predictive, straightforward, scope is fixed, delivery is single. Okay. And if we add something additional, that is basically called as uh, gold plating. So these things happen in controlling the scope. Now, once the scope is ready, the next thing is schedule or schedule. Schedule management plan help us guide us how to make the schedule, which software to use, what is the tolerance, What are the best practices according to the organizational process assets? That is OPS. OPS, what is OPS? Like there are two factors that affect the project, OPS and EEF. OPS are tools and templates, lesson learned register comes there, organizational policies, procedures come there. EEF are enterprise environmental factor, which can be internal or external, that define how the project is carried out. What are the resources available? How much the money your country has? What is the currency available? What are the local holidays? What are the culture? What are the customs? All those things comes EF. I love to define EF into pastel. What are the political requirement, environmental, social, technical, legal, economical, all the pastel requirement. We look in the EAF. So being said that, through schedule management plan, we go back and we go back to the work package, and through work package we divide the work further into smaller parts. We further decompose the work. The tool and technique we use is decomposition. We get activity list, the list of activity A, B, C, D, E, and activity attributes telling us, hey, what does A mean, what does B mean, what does C mean? And we get a milestone list that has all the milestones of the project. We get a kind of get a milestone chart also, that what are the milestones in the project, what are the dependencies, and most of the time payments are attached to the milestone. Milestone is anything that has a zero duration and it has a significance importance. Being said that, in activity attributes is also mentioned the relationship between two activities. Let's say these are two activities, activity A and activity B. Activity A is called predecessor, the before activity. Activity B is called successor, the later activity. So we have a relationship. We can have four type of relationship. The most logical and the most used is finish to start. Then we can also have start to start. We can have finish to finish, start to start, finish to finish, or the least one is start to finish, the opposite of finish to start. Okay. So which relationship you use depend upon the activities you are using. Now, normally once activity A ends, the activity B starts. Let's take the example of finish to start. But if the activity B does not start, we say there's a lag between the activities. The activities are delayed. There's a lag between the activities. The activity B is delayed. Or activity starts before, we call the activity B or successor activities leading. So lead and lag is a very important concept to understand once activities are leading or when activities are lagging in any particular project. So activity can also have dependencies on them. The dependencies can be mandatory dependencies that is called as hard logic, or it can has discretionary dependency, also known as soft logic. Mandatory, hard logic, discretionary, soft logic. It can be internal as well as external, both of them. Okay. Mandatory dependency, discretionary dependencies. Now we have this relationship. We know this thing. Now the next thing come to estimate that the time each activity will take or the cost each activity will take if we are calculating cost. Activity A, let's say activity A is building a house 200 square feet, and we have already built a house previously 200 square feet in the past. We use the same duration as we use in the past. That technique is called as analogous estimation. Same estimation. Analogous estimation, same estimation. Or if we have made 100 square feet in the past and now we use the parameters of the past and multiply it by 2, this is called parametric estimation. Or the third estimation is bottom up estimation. We calculate, okay, how much this will take, how much this will take, how much this will take. We add each thing and from bottom we move towards upward. It is called as bottom up estimation. In these three estimation, bottom up estimation is the most accurate estimation that we can use. Bottom up estimation. These are all 1 point estimation. We also use a estimation that is, instead of 1 point, we have multiple points, that is 3 points. Optimistic, the minimum duration; pessimistic, the maximum duration; most likely, the general duration. We have triangular distribution for that: optimistic plus pessimistic plus most likely, or beta distribution, which is called as PERT, also optimistic for most likely plus pessimistic. So this is the way how we calculate the time or cost of any activity in the project. Once we have all these things, we combine these activity using precedence diagramming method. Okay, we combine these activities, and whatever is the duration of the longest path, we called the longest part in the project is called critical path. This method is a critical path method, and once we add all the duration, we get the schedule baseline. We get the schedule baseline. So we had the schedule baseline at our hand. Now the next thing is the management asks how to decrease the schedule. How to decrease the schedule. So we have technique schedule compression. We have two techniques for schedule compression: crashing and fast tracking. In crashing, resources are added. In fast tracking, activities are made parallel. So since resources are added, resources cost money. In crashing, in crashing, as a result, the cost increases. In crashing, as a result, the cost increasing. In fast tracking, as a result, risk increases. And fast tracking, as a result, risk increases. Now, sometime like it happened in COVID, the resource can be very rare. The resources are very rare, and we need to plan according to the resource availability. So there are two techniques to manage the resources. Resource, that is called resource optimization technique. One is resource leveling. It manages average resource and manage the project according to the resource availability. We are leveling the project according to the resource availability. But as a result, in resource leveling, schedules get increased. So management sometimes says, okay, resources are rare, but one thing is for sure, we are not increasing the schedule. So in that case, we use resource smoothing. We optimize in between, but we don't let the schedule increase. So that's everything you need to know about scheduling. Any question, please ask. Once we have scope baseline, schedule baseline, the next step become cost baseline. How we can work into how we basically want to handle the cost. The cost management plan, it defines which type of currency you are going to use, what is your tolerance, how you are going to do financing, getting the money, who is providing you the money. We also described here what will be the how we are going to make a funding limit reconciliation. You don't get the entire money, or you don't give an entire money, you put limits there. Okay, this work is done, then the money, then the money, then the money. So these are called as funding limit reconciliation. We use the same technique to calculate each activity cost, and use cost aggregation just like bottom up to calculate the entire cost baseline. A very important thing to understand is that cost baseline is include activity cost plus contingency reserves. Contingency reserves. Contingency reserves are the money amount that we put for any identified risk, for any known unknown. We know something bad can happen. If we know something, we need to plan for that. So we put a money aside and we put it into the cost baseline. And then of course the estimation which we have done, that is cost baseline. But the project budget is something different. Project budget is cost baseline plus management reserve, which means cost of each activity plus contingency reserves plus management reserves. This means this management reserve, the team does not know. Depending from the project to project, the project manager may know, the project manager may not know. So it depends from project to project. Okay, this is how the budget is calculated. Then at any time, if you want to measure how you are doing in your schedule or how you are doing cost wise, we have formula for schedule variance and value minus planned value. If it is equal to 0 or greater than 1, it's a good thing. If it is less than 1, it's a bad thing. You have a variance. You need to improve your process. Similarly, we can put it into schedule performance index, under value divided by planned value. Greater than 1 is a good thing. Equal to 1 is okay. Less than 1 is bad thing. Cost variance, just like this, earned value minus actual cost. Exactly the same. Greater than 0, equal to 0, okay. Less than 0, negative is bad thing. And if you put CPI, cost performance index, earned value divided by actual cost. Equal to 1 or greater than 1 is a good thing, less than 1, bad thing. Okay. The entire budget of the project is called budget at completion. If that budget is not valid, we calculate a new budget. The new budget is calculated as estimate at completion, budget at completion divided by cost performance index. Okay. We neither have, this is the most important formula for that, but we also have actual cost plus how much more money will be required. Of course, now, let's say I have spent this much money. If I need to see how much more money is required, I put how much money I have spent. That is spent now. That is gone. How much more money I need to complete a particular project. These get estimated completion. One other formula we use is to complete performance index. This is opposite of CPI. The management is asking you, will you be able to complete the work in fund? Okay, will you be able to complete the work in fund? What do I mean by opposite of CPI? TCPI less than 1 is a good thing. TCPI less than 1 is a good thing. CPI greater than 1 was good. Okay, that's it. You need to know about the costing. These are the important things you need to know about the costing. Schedule baseline, we went back to the stakeholders. We had make a stakeholder register. Now the stakeholders that are high power, high interest, we put them into stakeholder engagement metrics. We check what is their current engagement level and what is their desired engagement level. So we check what are the strategies required to change the current engagement into desired engagement. Current engagement into desired engagement. The strategies, whatever the strategies are, we put those strategies into stakeholder engagement plan. We put all the strategies into stakeholder engagement plan. Now, along the stakeholder engagement plan, once the plan is done, plan is approved, the sponsor approved the plan. Once the plan is approved, along the stakeholder plan, we make another plan that is called as communication management plan. In communication management plan, we decide four important things: right information at right time to the right stakeholder to have the right impact. Right information, right time to right stakeholder to have right impact. But easy said than being done. Project manager, 90% job is to manage the stakeholders, is to use the communication management plan. Like which communication plan will tell you which format to use. Are you going to do formal communication, informal communication? Which type of reporting? What will the frequency of reporting? Which language you are going to use? How the diversity will be managed? How you will ensure that the diversity is ensured? Which technology is going to use? Are you going to use push communication, pull, interactive? How many channels of the communications are? How you are going to do that communication? Each and every single thing that is regarding the communication frequency, all those things happen in communication management plan. Many students get confused difference between stakeholder engagement plan and communication plan. Stakeholder engagement plan is all about the strategies that you need to change current engagement into desired engagement plan. Anything that talks about formal, informal, frequency, language, uh, level of detail, it goes about communication management plan. I hope that is clear once for all. Now, once these two plans are approved and done, now we go to the one of the most important plan of the PMP. That is team management plan or resource management plan or human resource management plan. All the names are used for this thing. So I love to use Tuckman ladder to explain this thing in the context. But before that, a Tuckman ladder or stages of team. So we have productive time here and productivity here. The first thing, before even the team members can come, you need to identify which type of resources you need. You need virtual resources or you need physical resources. If you need virtual resources, you need to understand the challenges about the virtual resources. Okay, like virtual team members get bored. Virtual team member needs to be engaged in the entirely different dynamics. Okay, in the entirely different, for example, if the virtual people are there, we are right now in a virtual way, so who is using the mobile and looking at things? There's so many things going on right around. For example, if you belongs to the Pakistan, right now Pakistan Super League is going on. If you belong to Europe, there are Ukraine Europe clashes, and there are so many other things that you need to do, you want to do, so you can be doing that. So you need to ensure how to engage the people in the virtual team. Has challenges, then the internet problem and so many other things. You need to identify them, how you are going to handle all those challenges. And if you are going to have physical resources, then you need to identify a different kind of challenges: the accommodation, their security, their transportation, food, water. Maybe you don't provide those things in your contract. Many organizations don't provide food, transport, or even water, but you need to make sure those things are available. If you go into a desert and the project is being done in the desert, you say no, it is on the workers, they find their accommodation. No, it is your responsibility to make sure as a project manager that your resources are properly equipped, not just from the nut and bolts type, but everything. If they are not properly relaxed in night, they haven't slept properly, how you expect them to work in the day? This is the project manager responsibility, not procurement manager or admin manager. At the end of the day, project manager is responsible to provide the value to stakeholder, and stakeholder does not care that the admin manager did not arrange proper equipment or procurement manager failed. So this is your responsibility. So being said that, in addition to that, even its virtual team, even its physical team, you also need to do what type of skills are required, what skills you need to the team. For example, if I talked about a pure predictive environment, you need a planning engineer, you need a costing engineer, you need an IT engineer, you need an admin person, you need so many other electrician, mechanics. So many team members are required at multiple levels. You need to identify level, their skills, their experience, what tools they can use, and you put that all those things. And if you have team members already worked with you, that is called as pre-assignment. So you are getting him, what on what basis you are getting him, you need to put that thing into the plan also. So once all these things are done, then the team comes to you. That is the forming stage. The team is new, they are directionless, they don't know. You act like a, you give them direction, directive nature is there. The most important document for the team is created here: team charter, which defines what are the ground rules, what are the vision for the team, how the team is going to handle the conflict, how the team is going to look for each other. Everything must be put in this. And the best thing is that the team makes the ground rule, the team makes the team charter. But if the team is not there, you need to make sure the team charter is being produced. That is important thing. So once the form in the forming, everyone is trained. Slowly the people start having conflict, and we reached into the storming stage where people are having conflict. So you need to act like a coach, you need to guide them, you need to understand them. When I talk about understanding them, there are multiple things that you need to have. The most important is emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? It consists of 3 to 4 things basically. First, understand yourself. Okay, like it all starts with you. Okay, so understand yourself, how, what is your management style, how do you get tickle, and then manage yourself. First manage yourself, then talk about other person. This is a very important thing. This is the first thing, we start thinking about other person. Most of the time the problem is with you. Make sense? The problem is with you. So understand yourself, manage yourself. Then understand Others, understand their motivation, like how they are motivated. Now, in motivation, we know there are multiple things. There is Maslow hierarchy of need. Maslow hierarchy of needs says that unless lower needs are not satisfied, we will even not think about the other needs. Na? For example, if team member is, as I was giving the example before, if the team member is unable to sleep in the night because of mosquitoes or because there was no air condition, he will be not motivated to work. As simple as it can be. If he is not properly rested, he will not be working tomorrow. So that's Maslow hierarchy of need. Then we need to look at Herzberg theory of motivation. That says that okay, there is hygiene agent, working condition is good, well done, but they are not motivated still. Why? You are not providing the work that they like. You haven't done SWOT analysis. You haven't done attitudinal survey, what people like, and give them work according to them, right? For example, in the entire batch program or one-to-one program, I never said that I will summarize the entire PMP, but I am doing that. Why? I love this. I keep on identifying the ways how I can add value to my students. And last week I identified, okay, maybe let's get them together and give a quick summary so that some of the questions can be answered properly. This is my strength. Identify that, identify what are the requirement. So you need to do that. Maybe, and maybe you need to look at motivating agent, opportunity, growth. Giving salary all the time does not motivate anyone. Like when you are looking at recognition and rewards to the team member, money does not help every single time. Sometimes saying well done Naveed, you did a nice job in front of the entire team, it will be enough for Naveed to get motivated, right? And most of the time it is the teams who praises team members in front of others, they work better. This is an important emotional thing. Praise everyone in front of each other. And if you want to have some other things to say them in personal, direct and in person. Because if you like kind of said everything in front of everybody, the people can take it personal or other things can happen that you haven't even identified that. So that's an important thing to understand what motivate that Herzberg theory of motivation. Then what is your motivating style? Theory, how your organization work? Theory X, theory Y. Theory X, that we continuously monitor the people, and theory Y, we let them grow themselves. Theory X, theory Y is very important, especially in this virtual environment, in the team, if the teams are operating. Then you also need to understand what are the expectations behind every team member. Guys, whenever you join the program, I normally ask what are your strengths, weaknesses, what is your learning style. Why? I am trying to understand your expectancy, which point to trigger, how to work with you, what are your expectations, expectancy theory. So you use your social skills, your communication skills, your leadership skills to understand other people, why they feel something. And then understanding empathy. Empathy is different from sympathy. Sympathy is like if someone is weeping, you start crying. Empathy is understanding the need, the reason behind why they feel something like that. What is the reason? We can work them. So this is important in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, these five things, and the motivational theory I just said, they are important for exam. Then it is also possible. Kashyap, please stop typing, stop drawing. So this is important to understand this thing, how this work, how this happens. And throughout the project, throughout the project, you identify training needs, provide the training, and at the end of the trainings, you measure outcomes. It is possible that the team has a conflict. Maybe they need trainings, they need team building trainings, or you need individual training. Whatever the reason is, the thing is that you use active listening. Listen to the person, what he wants to say, what is actually saying. Understand the need of the person, how we can work with them. Active listening is very important. You listen the other person. Active listening is the most important skill for the project manager. Now, whenever there's a conflict, you don't go and just start handling the conflict. First, you identify the conflict, the stages of the conflict, at which stage the conflict is. Is it level one, there's a problem to be solved, people are working together, or there's a disagreement, or a contest, or a crusade, or a world war? Like the conflict level is where is there. And once you have done that, you identify what is the problem. You identify the alternative solutions, but can be multiple solutions. It is necessary you don't have one thing in your box. You need to have a multiple solution for one problem. Choose one option. If it works, good. Then choose other options. Then choose other option. See what works, implement that. What does not work, remove that. And whenever you are doing the conflict management, one of the most important thing is you try to get a win-win situation. You see, as a project manager, you can have a concerns for other, you care for other, or you care for yourself. Concern for yourself. Okay. So if I put it into two by two matrix, if your concern for other is high, your concern for yourself is high. Mean you want to get a win-win situation. This is problem solving, collaboration, even consent. If you care for yourself more and you don't care about others, what does that mean? You care about winning. You don't care about other people losing. You do the forcing. You force your decision or direct. If you don't care about yourself, but you care about others, you accommodate. Or smoothing is also there. Like you focus only on the point of agreement, not on the disagreement. If you don't care about others, don't care about yourself, you avoid or withdraw. You run away from the problem. Understand this thing. Conflict is good for the project if handled properly. I'll say one more time. Conflict is good for the project if handled properly. If it is not handled properly, then the conflict can destroy the project. This is a very important thing to master and to understand that the conflict can be good, conflict can be bad depending upon the project. You need to make a healthy conflict. And if two team members they are working and they never have conflict, this means they don't even discuss things. It is impossible. Two persons are sitting in one room and they don't have a conflict. This is in the human nature. So you must understand this thing that the conflict is a natural thing. As a project manager, you need to use all the skills to manage the conflict. If if handled properly, that team start working with each other, that team start understanding habits of each other. So we move to the norming stage where you still need to mentor them, but let them work. Again, it is possible even at this stage, the team members of the team need training. If handled properly, then we reach to the ideal stage, that is a performing stage. The team work here, you delegate the task, you sit behind, let them work and see. Again, here also you need to check if the trainings are required, if anyone or not. And finally, the team adjourn, here again, coaching and all those things required. Guys, depending upon the project to project, you provide them incentives, you provide them their things that they needed, giving them work, but that does not mean there is no accountability. We have responsibility assignment matrix, RAM, where each person has their own responsibility. We also have RASI. We use those sheets to see who is responsible, accountable, consult, and inform. We check each person responsibility, who is responsible for any particular task. We work with them, we see that, and we work in order to enhance the performance of the team. Every team needs to be high performance team. Every project manager, it's his dream to a high performance team. But the team passes through the stages to become a high performance team, and every team is different. No one team No two teams are same. Okay, and at any time, if a new team member is introduced, is added, the dynamics of the team can change. Okay, so that's all about team topic. Now team started working together. The team is performing things. We want to measure how they are performing the work. Now we want to make sure that all the work that is being done is according to the requirement. How do we know that the work is being done according to the requirement? We make quality management plan. So we make a quality management plan which has all the requirements that are agreed with the customer, all the standards that are agreed with the customer. Now standards can be international standard like ISO, or we can use competitor standards. We can use our own organization standards. We benchmark those standards, we put them into the quality management plan. An important thing we use is cost of quality. We want to understand how much this is gonna cost us. Now cost of quality, yeah, quality always cost us. Now how much it will cost, it depends from project to project, but it must be costed, managed and effectively ensured in that way. For example, what is the cost of conformance, making sure that you produce a quality product? What is the cost of non-conformance, like the cost of failure? This is the cost of ensuring you get the right product. This is the cost of non-conformance, internal or external. Rework can be, this is basically training and appraisal. The cost of quality is very important. What I am trying to do, daily getting your feedback checklist, so that I want to make sure that all the work, the cost, of course, it is costing me. Daily I'm messaging or everyone getting feedback. It takes 2 hours from my daily time. I am now doing the training. It takes that prime time of mine with you guys. Okay, but this is the cost of conformance. I am making sure that like everyone passes the exam. Okay, if I don't do, then I have to bear the cost of non-conformance. And one thing, image, your brand also get here, because that is an intangible thing that must be counted now. If you don't make sure your quality product, uh, the things can be, uh, the things can have issue. For example, even the China make the best product available. We have a mindset. They haven't managed their cost of quality in the terms of that thing. They went for quantity. So as a result, whenever we heard about Chinese product, we think it will be not good. Although Apple is being made, the highest quality product currently in the market is being made in the China. It's all about cost of quality. We also make quality matrices that tells us how many, what are the things that we are going to measure. Basically, it is a KPI matrix. We are measuring key performance index, and every KPI, it has to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. Okay, every KPI has to be that. Once your quality plan is approved by the customer or the sponsor, you start implementing the quality. What does that mean? The deliverable is being done, the deliverable is being produced, the quality team goes and check the deliverable while it is being produced. They are making sure that you are following the right process. They will do the audit according to the quality management. They will do the audit. Are you within the control limits or not? We know control charts. Upper control limit, this is mean upper control limit or lower control limit. If any point goes out, this means this is a special cause. Or you have consecutive 7 points at one side, this also means there's a problem in the chart we need to look at. They use flow charts to see the sequence of the process. They use affinity diagram to classify this thing. We use checklist. Checklist is used to see is the sequence of the process, the steps are being followed, yes or no. And if there are defects, we calculate the number of defects by check sheets. Okay, and if we want to do the root cause analysis, we have the root cause, like there are problems, we want to get into the bone of the problem, we do root cause analysis using fishbone diagram. Problem is put there. This is called as cause and effect diagram, Ishikawa, root cause analysis, 5 why. We ask the 5 why. And if we want to check two variables, we have scatter diagram to check the correlation between two variables. If by increasing height, if your height is increased, do you eat more? Is there any correlation? We put in the correlation diagrams. So all those things are used there. And once a deliverable is made, once the deliverable has been made in control quality according to the quality management plan, we check finally, okay, so is the measurements is according to the agreed quality plan, every the deliverable is according to quality plan or not. It's an internal check. And if the deliverable is according to that, we call that deliverable as verified deliverable or quality approved deliverable, quality check deliverable. I wouldn't say quality approved, quality check deliverable. So this is all about quality you need to know. In Pareto, there's another tool of quality, Pareto. That is basically 20-80 principle. Vital few, trivial many. We prioritize and see what are the 2, 3 few important things that if we work, we can get a better result. Pareto chart. We make a Pareto chart in our project to categorize. Okay, these are the most important. Okay, these are the most important one. We also use histogram. This is a special type histogram. What are the most important thing in the project that we need to do? We need to work on. And similarly, histogram will just show the frequency distribution. So we work into the quality area to make sure everything is being done according to quality. The next thing is that, okay, now we are working. We are trying to produce the deliverable. We decided we want to make or buy. Okay, we decided, okay, I want to buy something. From where I'm gonna buy? What will be my source selection criteria? Will it be cost? Will it be quality? Will it be quantity? Is it past lesson learns or reference? What will be my source selection criteria? I define that. Now I again need to check whether my scope is fixed or not. If my scope is fixed, then there's another different thing. We have a different contract, that is firm fixed price contract. If my scope is not fixed, we have cost reimbursement contract. Okay, we also have time and material here. In firm fixed price, we have, if we want a seller to complete the work early, we can give him incentive. Or if the contract is long, 5 year, 10 year, and inflation can affect, we have economic price adjustment contract there, right? In the cost reimbursement, if we want to give incentive, we have incentive. And if we want to give tip, I'm saying, if we want to give tip, we have award contract in there. So we define the contract, we put into the procurement management plan, procurement strategy, whatever we are our requirement, we put down them into procurement statement of work. These are our requirement. We need this thing. This is the time frame. This is the type of contract, and we advertise to the market. Hey, we need these things. We advertise to the market. What are the requirement there? And then people send us their quotations. It can be request for quotation, request for information, whatever. Then we get the bidder conference. Okay, very important. Before bidder conference, we get independent cost estimates. Independent estimate, what is the general price of this thing? And we also have the minimum qualification. If we want something, we need this. Okay, this person must have this qualification or these requirements to meet. Then we call them bidder conference. We don't call everyone the bidder conference. After the bidder conference, the people, once the requirement are cleared, they give their proposal. We shortlist the seller. We have the further negotiation with them. Procurement manager talk anything that is related to money to the people. Project manager is there, project management team is there to talk about quality, to talk about scope, schedule, not about money. For money, we have procurement manager. Once agreement is done, agreement is approved, then we get approved from the approval management. Okay, management sometime also need to sign the agreement. Once the agreement is ready, then we start getting the deliverable. Once we get the deliverable, we do inspection of the deliverable. If the deliverable is okay, we close the procurement, we pay them. If the deliverable is not, Okay, then there's a conflict. In order to handle a conflict in procurement, we try to have collaboration, try to get win-win situation. If we cannot get that, then we do what is written in the contract. If contract is silent, we try to have alternate dispute resolution, a third party mediator. If the mediator is not able to do that, then the last thing, go to the court. Going to the court is never helpful for anyone. And this is possible that the procurements are still open. We try to close procurement throughout the project, but it is possible even the procurements are open and the project is closed. This is fully possible. Okay, this is possible in the project. So guys, any question in the procurement? Yep. In procurement, we do have audit, but if you can do the audit of the seller, this thing must be mentioned in your procurement, in your agreement, whether you can have audit or you cannot have audit. Normally, depending upon the contract to contract, you can see whether the audit is allowed or the audit is not allowed. If the audit is not allowed, because if the audit is there, then of course they have to pay sometime more, na? Like they have to follow your policies procedure. So it depends from
Yeah.
project to project whether you can do audit or not. Thank you, Pawan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Procurement statement of work I already explained. Procurement statement of work is all the requirements, that whatever your requirement is, you put down into the procurement. That is the first thing that you need to do. Guys, someone's mic is unmute, please. So you put down everything in the procurement statement of work, whatever your requirements are. Jizadi.
So there are two things. One is that we were talking about this bigger conference. So before that, don't we have that technical analysis of the bids that we get, and the other one
Depends on
is
the
of
project to project. You can have this. Of course, you can have that.
second thing is can you once again tell us the steps in contract and procurement? So what are these steps that
So it's
through which
as
we
simple
resolve
as
that?
it can get. Whenever the conflict occur, what do? We try to get collaboration. Like if you and I have a conflict, we try to get a collaboration. Okay, let's try to get a win-win situation. If we cannot do, then what do? We try to do what is written in the contract. If we cannot do that, then we try to get an alternative dispute resolution, a mediator, a third party, whom we both listen. If we cannot do that, then the last thing is, of course, go to the court. Okay, thank you. Yes, Zagam.
Sir, my question is from the last topic, quality. The cost of, can you just explain how the cost of quality and cost baseline are interrelated?
Yeah, everything, the cost, they are directly proportional. Whatever the cost you are gonna spend in the project, that has to be mentioned in the cost baseline. For example, if you want to do certain test, that should be mentioned in the cost baseline, that this activity is gonna cost us this much, so that should be part of baseline. Because you only have one baseline, the entire money comes from there. So they must be mentioned in that, you are getting money from there. Okay, good question. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. So the next topic is risk. The first of all, you make a risk management plan that defines whether the organization is risk averse or risk seeker, run away from the risk or move towards the risk, respectively. Then you look or risk neutral. You define the risk appetite, how much risk organization is willing to take in the anticipation of the reward, risk appetite. And you see, okay, in that appetite, what is that threshold? What is the upper limit? What is the lower limit? And you define that. Once that is done, then just like stakeholder, you start identifying the risk. Everything that is available in the project, you use that to identify the risk. Project chart, business case, benefit management plan, communication plan, assumption log, stakeholder register, everything you use to identify that. You ask the expert, you go through the past lesson. We use different prompt lists like pastel, political, economical, social, technological, legal, environmental, all those things we use. Volatile, uncertain, complex. We categorize all the risk, whatever we can, and we put all those into risk register. Here at this stage, we also put potential responses and potential honor. Owner is someone who is gonna handle the risk, who is gonna tackle a particular risk in the project. He's risk owner. So once you have all the risk, initially there can be thousands of risks, just like stakeholder. So you don't tackle every risk. You rank the risk first by qualitative using probability into impact matrix. You rank the risk. Okay, these are low risk, these are medium risk, these are high risk. Who defines what is low, medium, high? Your organization tolerance. The probability and impact matrix is defined by your own organization. Once you have ranked the risk, if your project is of low risk or you don't need, you directly go towards putting the response for particular risk. If your organization is tackling high risk or it is life threatening like a pharmaceutical, so we do quantitative risk analysis where we take all the risk who has already been prioritized by qualitative risk, and we use different tools like tornado analysis, checking the sensitivity of each risk, or what is expected monetary value, risk into probability, or multiple option decision tree, influence diagram, Monte Carlo analysis. The purpose is to get a number. What is the exact number of that particular risk? We perform quantitative risk analysis. Now we have risk register, which has all the risk, and qualitatively ranked risk and quantitatively ranked risk. Now we need to plan responses for the risk. We know that risks are both positive, that are called opportunity, negative, that are called threat. So we need different response for opportunity as well as for threats. So let's put it there. Negative risk are called as threat. Okay. Positive risk are called as opportunity. Risk is probability into impact. The first thing is your goal is to make the probability zero. If you make the probability zero, multiply by this. So you try to avoid the risk. If you cannot avoid, you try to mitigate that risk. And if you can buy insurance, you transfer the risk to someone. In transferring the risk, you are paying premium. Remember that thing. In transferring the risk, you are paying a premium amount for that particular risk to someone. So reverse of avoid is exploit. In exploit, you increase probability as well as impact. You increase both of them, probability as well as impact. If you cannot do exploit, you try to enhance. Or the next thing is share. If you cannot control either negative or a positive risk, we can always escalate it to the senior. We can always escalate it to the management. Escalation of a particular risk. Now, these are all proactive things. We are taking action. If we just accept the risk, okay, the risk is there, we are accepting it. We are not taking any action. We say any risk that occurs before the risk, there's a trigger of that. First, that trigger happen that this is going to happen, then the risk occur. There's a time between. Okay, the less time we have for after trigger, the more risky that risk is. So we say that okay, if the trigger occur, we have these responses. We will do this thing. This is called active acceptance. If we say even the trigger occur, we are not gonna do. We will see when this happen. We will see. This is called passive acceptance. For active acceptance, we make contingency plan, plan A. If that plan fails, we make fallback plan. For passive, we basically treat as workaround. Whatever happens, we use management to do that. Once that plan is approved, once this risk plan is approved, all the baselines get updated. Because of this, all the baselines may get updated. All the plans may get updated because of this plan. So once a trigger of any risk occur, you implement a risk response plan. The risk owner implement risk response plan. there are two things that can happen. The plan was okay, and you get a very few amount of the risk left, that is called as residual risk, and that is a accepted risk. Okay, for example, I drank tea, a little bit tea is still there that I'm not going to drink. That is a residue, accepted risk. As a result of our plan, sometime another risk occurred, that is called as secondary risk. Secondary risk need to be tackled properly. Okay, so then we have risk audit, in which we are checking the process. Guys, whenever we are talking about the audit is always about checking the effectiveness of the process. Are we following that or not? We do risk review meetings. In risk review, we check the process, we see how we are doing good. And as a result of risk review, we do get risk report, weekly or monthly report that shows how the project is performing. Okay, so this is all about risk. Okay, all about risk. Understand this thing. Risk is probability into impact. Probability can be 0 to 99.9999. If it becomes 100, it's not a risk anymore, it's a issue. Okay, it's a issue. So let me share something. Throughout the project, we keep on identifying more and more risk. Whatever the risks are there, if we identify any risk, we keep on putting them in risk register. Let me put it this way: an unidentified event is identified. An unidentified event or unidentified risk, both are the same thing. Unidentified event or risk is identified before occurring. Is identified before occurring. We put that into risk register and tackle it according to risk. If unidentified event occur, we didn't know it occurred, it happened, it's a issue, it's a problem, it's a issue. It goes into issue log. It goes into issue log. Whenever an issue is identified, we follow this step. We put the issue into issue log. This is the first thing. Next thing, we do the root cause analysis. Why that issue occurred in the first place? Why it occurred? We do the root cause analysis of that particular issue. Then we see, do we need to raise a change request to handle that issue? If we need change request, we raise that change request. Once change request is approved, we implement the change request, update the issue log that the issue has been handled or not accordingly. And from issue, we get the lesson learned, and we put that lesson learned into lesson learned register. Okay, we put that lesson learned register, and at the end of the project, the lesson learned become the lesson learned repository. So that's how you handle risk and issue, and that's the entire predictive thing for you. Now, if you have anything here, please ask in the risk, issue, or anywhere else. Yes, Mushtaq.
What if the identified risk is occurred? Does it goes to the issue log?
No, never. It is an identified risk. Na? It has already been identified. So it's a risk. It has occurred. You update the risk register. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Pawan. I was expecting question in this topic.
Yeah. Normally in the planning stage, if you forecast any kind of things, those has to go to risk register, right? Only in the execution time, if it occurs, then it will go to the issue log.
Yeah.
Is
No.
it correct?
Yeah, in a sense, yes. In a sense, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Zubair.
Sir, I wanted to ask that if the issue is identified, why not in the end it is going into the risk register, because that may be the important document for all the risk. The root cause has been done, issue log. Why is it going into the risk
If
register?
issue log is identified, can you repeat that? If a issue,
if the risk is identified,
issue is occurred, issue is occurred.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
understand this thing.
Yes.
When a risk is, there are two things: risk, issue. When a risk is identified, risk is identified, means it has not happened. The risk
Yeah.
happened. You take the plan according to the risk register. At the end of the
Yes.
project, we do get the lesson from the risk, put it into the lesson learned
Okay.
register. Both hands same way.
Okay.
Both goes
Okay.
into risk register and risk. Both goes into lesson learned register and lesson learned report. They do go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Ji Shaji.
Okay, I mean, again, the same question about risk. Like when we have an unidentified event, and if we identify it, it goes to the risk register. Okay, the first step. And later on, if it occurs, are we adding it into the issue log?
No, no. When something is in the risk register, so we play it in the risk register, na?
Yeah, so when it occurs, it becomes an issue, right?
Consider two building, risk building, issue building. If something enter into the risk building, it will go into the risk building. Okay. If something enter into the issue building, it will follow the issue building. They don't cross in between. At the end, both goes to lesson learned register. Okay.
And one more thing, like we have the risk response. Do we have any issue response also, like put onto the issue log?
We have response for something which we identified. But
Okay.
if we haven't identified, it's just like this thing. Before we did not had COVID. Okay, COVID was not a risk. COVID is an issue. It occurred. Now for other waves, we have a response. We put response for that thing, now for which we identify.
Okay, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, Ali.
Yeah, sir, I have a question that how do we identify the triggers associated with some risks?
How do we identify the risk?
How do we identify the triggers?
How do we identify the risk? I'm asking you this. The same way we identify the same way we identify the risk, the same way we identify the triggers.
We sit together and we write down
everything same. Everything same. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Raju.
Sir, this contingency plan and fallback plan, both are same. There is a difference.
Contingency plan is plan A. Okay. For example, for if the fire occur, I have a fire extinguisher here. I use the fire extinguisher. That's plan A. Okay. And if I'm unable to stop the fire, I run away. That's plan B. Okay.
For both, we need to use only that contingency reserve.
Yes, this is a planned thing, na?
Okay, sir. Thank
you. We have action plan against each risk. That is the purpose. We have action plans of each risk that we consider we want to have. Some risks are put into the watch list. They are accepted risk, or some risk we don't even care. It's a small risk, na? So we don't even do that. We change the policies, procedures accordingly. Yes, sure.
So few risks are impacting the schedules as well. So should we keep those risks in issue log? I mean, that can be mitigated.
Why?
But
issue, understand this thing, Shoaib. Issue is something that has happened. If something may affect the schedule, it goes into risk register. Na? Why we put into the issue log?
I got it.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So guys, just to put few things in the context, we have initiation stage where we made project charter, stakeholder register, and assumption log. Then in planning, we made all the plans. We made all the plans. Plans get approved. It becomes the part of project management plan. Then in the execution, we implement those plans. The team get acquired, developed, training needs, everything happen in execution. Throughout the process, we are comparing plan with actual, that is monitoring and control. And if there is any difference, we get a variance analysis, we raise the change request, and we approve. I'll get to the change request and we approve the change request accordingly. Okay. And finally, we close the project. I'll come to the closing steps in the end. Now, going back to the initial thing, when we talk about the scope, if the scope is not fixed, if the scope is evolving, if the scope is variable, we go towards Agile. Agile is all about change driven. Agile is a combination of iteration and incremental. We don't discuss iterative and incremental. We are more focused towards Agile. Agile is all about mindset. What is the mindset? We accept the change. There are 4 values. customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Contract is important. I understand. I respect that. But giving value to your customer is more important. Moving away from the contract is okay. Responding to the change over following a plan. Yes, we need to know that we should follow a plan. But if there's a change, we go through that. Why? Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. These values correlate. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Documentation is good, but we want to be effective. It's not that we don't want documentation. We want as minimum as possible documentation, not more. And the last responsible moment, we want the documents. Okay. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Responding to the change over following the plan. What is the fourth value? Working over anyone can tell me?
People and process.
Customer collaboration over contract.
People and interaction.
Yes, individual.
People versus process.
Guys, say
Individual.
it properly, na? Individual and interaction over processes and tool. Not even a single person said it exactly. Exact wording. Values, I said it multiple times. You need to know 4 values by words. Okay. Principles, okay, but 4 values you need to know. That is the mindset behind Agile. Then, once you know the values, the next thing comes principles. Principles of Agile, how they work. The principle of Agile are very simple. We try to give value to the customer. We try to do multiple deliveries, incremental deliveries, making minimum viable product to the customer. We make an environment in which the team can learn, can make mistake. They know that we value them. We act as a servant leader. The team is the most important thing. And the team is like 6 to 12 team member. We have T-type leader. We don't want people from they are specialist only. We need people having multiple experience into that so that they can work together. So that is the crust of Agile principles. Okay, if anyone has any question there, please raise the hand or put in the chat box. Then we look planning in the Agile. We do planning in the Agile at multiple levels. First, we set the vision. Then we make our roadmap, what we are gonna do that. Then we have release level. Then we have iteration or sprint level. Iteration or sprint is 1 to 4 weeks, normally 2 weeks. Then we have daily stand-up. Daily stand-up is 3 questions. What you did yesterday, what you are gonna do today. Is there an impediment roadblock? Once we have that, then this is general Agile. Now the most important Agile is Scrum. Scrum is based on the methodology of 3. There are 3 roles: product owner, Scrum master, and the team or development team. Product owner is responsible for product backlog. He goes to the sponsor customer, get the requirement in the form of user story. What is user story? As a user, I want this so that this can happen. You take out the user story, write down the context on card. You have conversation and confirmation criteria on it. 3C: card, conversation, and confirmation criteria. Each user story must follow acronym of INVEST: independent, negotiable, valuable, estimatable, testable. Okay, we get all the user stories, all the requirements are there. So we put all the user stories into the document. We called it as product backlog. Once we have that, then again product owner goes back to the stakeholders, sponsors, and ask them, hey, let's prioritize them. We use Moscow, must have, should have, could have, would likely to have, to prioritize it. Or we can use Monopoly, or we can use weighted metrics, or multiple other techniques can be used, but Moscow is mostly used, or Monopoly can be used in it. We have prioritized the things by high value, high risk. The high value, high risk. We get the product backlog, it's ready, high value, high risk. Now the team comes. We get the first sprint. In first sprint, the first thing we decide is what will be the duration of the sprint. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week. Everything depends on this. So let's say we decided for 2 weeks. So now each sprint will be 2 weeks. Now the team looks at the product backlog and put story points on each of the user story. What is the story point? Effort required to complete any user story. The team decide how much can be effort. There are three ways to put story points. Ideal hours, okay, how many hours you will do. Affinity estimation, small, medium, large. The third one is Fibonacci series, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. Normally we use Fibonacci series. Now in order to get consensus among the stakeholders, among the team, that this user story has these many story points, we do planning pokers in which we move in circles and we ask, okay, what would be the story points, and we get agreement or consensus on it. Or if there's a senior person, to get the consensus, we do wide band delphi. We put story points on all the product backlog, and now the team says in the first sprint, this is my estimated velocity, this is how much I can do in this sprint. According to that, they put story point in sprint backlog. We get an agreement between the team and the product owner, scrum master facilitate that these will be the sprint goals. Now obviously product owner will say add more, the team will say no, we do less. So the scrum master try to have a facilitation there, collaboration, but team say will be more valuable at the end. But the team says we want to have collaboration, but at the end what the team says, that will be more valuable, okay, more valued. We get the sprint goal, we share it with the scrum master, with the team, with the everyone. So then we start working on it. We have daily stand up, 3 questions, same time, same location, 15 minutes. What you did last night, what you did yesterday, what you are going to do today. Is there any road impediment, whatever those things are there. Scrum master acting as a servant leader, he shields the team from any kind of thing. He provides food and water, facilitate them, identify the training need, make sure Scrum methodology is being followed. We don't exceed 15 minutes. Okay. In your daily stand-up, you have information radiator that has burn up chart, how much work you have done, burn down chart, how much work is remaining, information radiator like task board showing the status, and Kanban board basically showing work in progress limitation. Only difference between task board and Kanban board is in Kanban board, there's a work in progress limit. How much work you at any time you can do to find the bottlenecks in the process. The burn up, burn down charts, both can be used, but normally burn down chart is there because we want to see how much work is remaining. Okay. We are not worried about how much we are done. We are worried about how much is remaining because we are looking at the time. So that's why we mostly use burn down chart. So once the sprint, the time is over, when the sprint gets over, when the times get over. Okay, time get over, 2 weeks done. We have sprint review, product owner, sponsor, everyone comes. We show them whatever we have produced. In Agile, we only show the things that have been completed 100%. Any user story that is not completed, it goes back to the product backlog. Okay. Any user story that is completed, the customer check according to their acceptance criteria. If they accept it, it goes into product increment. If rejected, product backlog. More user stories can be added here. And at the end, once more user stories are added, the rejected stories are in the product backlog, product owner reprioritize the product backlog. That is called grooming of product backlog. Okay. There are 3 things definition of ready. The team checks, are they ready to start work on the user story? Maybe they need more tools. So that checklist is definition of ready. Once their user story is completed, they have a checklist, definition of done. Are we done with that? And then the customer have a user checklist, just like definition of done, that is called acceptance criteria. Then once the everyone goes, then the team sit together to see how they can improve themselves, their processes, how they can become more effective. That is sprint retrospective. 5 stages. Set the stage, understand the requirement, gather data. We gather the data from every. We generate insight with the root cause analysis. What went good, what went bad, mad, glad, sad. We decide for 1 or 2 improvement. We implement those improvements. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about Scrum. Okay. That's everything you need to know about Scrum. Responsibility of product owner is product backlog, getting the requirement, clarifying the requirement. Responsibility of a Scrum master, shield their team, providing food and water, making sure the team is well trained, they understand everything, facilitating every meeting. Responsibility of team, estimate the task, complete the task. Okay, these 3 responsibilities are important. So Scrum is most important, then Agile framework, then there is Lean. Basically, Lean is all about waste removal. We make a value stream map in which we have value added task and non-value added task, and we try to get how we can remove non-value added task. Then we have a cycle time, time to complete a task, and lead time, the entire time when the work was requested to it was completed. Okay, guys. So that's entire Agile for you. For Agile, the most important thing is to have the mindset right. If your mindset is right, then Agile is with you. Having a servant leadership understanding. Servant leadership means collaborating, helping, identifying the training need, working with the team to make sure that everything is in the right and good way with the team. Any question? GA Sabha.
Sir, if we have a critical requirement coming in between when the sprint is going on, shouldn't that be going into work immediately?
Yeah, the requirement.
Because I got a couple questions wrong regarding this.
I understand. Let me just explain. If the requirement is there and you want to, like, let's say the requirement is very important. Okay, so that the product owner talk with the team. The first of all, if the requirement is important, the requirement directly comes to the product backlog. That is most important. First thing, directly it comes to the product backlog. There is no doubt in that. If it is important, it goes into the high priority. And then the product owner talk to the team. Hey team, this is the important requirement. Can we add here? Then the team checks and say, okay, we'll add this, then, but we need to remove some requirements. The time is fixed, na? The time is fixed. We add something, we remove something. We could add anything into that. Okay, but then we have an agreement from team and the stakeholder and the product owner. That is important. Okay, and understand this thing. Product owner has the power to cancel the sprint. He has power. If the sprint is obsolete, it is not required, he can cancel it. Okay, Shobha, thank you. Yes,
yeah, thank you.
Sir, can you please elaborate difference between from 3 C's we have conformance criteria, then definition of done, and then acceptance criteria.
There is no correlation between them. There is no correlation between them. They are a different, entirely different thing. Every user story should follow the 3 C. Like, it's a confirmation criteria must be there. It is written on the card, and there's a conversation. That is a requirement. And they should also have invest acronym, independent, negotiable, valuable, estimatable, small. These are the things that user story must have. Whereas definition of done is how do you know when your user story is done. That's an entirely different thing. Okay, thank you. Yes, Alvin.
Yes, sir. I was just wondering, in fact, Agile, we use minimum documentation, right? So which documentation are really needed in Agile compared to predictive one?
Depending upon the project to project. Like if you are making a product, you write down the product documents, the contract requirement, how to use that product, but you write it once the product is done. Okay, once the product
okay,
is
sir.
Done. Okay, thank you. Yes, Pawan.
Okay. I understand a definition of done, but there is a definition of ready also there,
yes,
right?
Definition of ready.
So that's in the.
You check whether, like, what is my definition of done here? My definition of done is I need to go through all the topics. Okay, I have written there my definition of them. Okay, definition of ready is that before the training, I check my mic, I check my computer, I check my internet. That is definition of ready. Acceptance criteria is when I will ask at the end whether everything is clear or not. That is acceptance criteria.
So definition of done is mostly we'll use in the sprint planning. I mean, before taking into the sprint backlog, it is ready to start working.
No. It depends from user story to user story. Everything happens after sprint planning, before sprint review. The acceptance criteria is there in sprint review. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, guys. Now the entire yes, Shah. Pawan, lower your hand.
Sir, what is? Can you explain product increment, sir?
Product increment is a document in which the once the work get completed, it keeps on adding into that. Okay, a product increment, product adding into that requirement. Okay, for example, first you wanted to make this chair. First you make the legs, and then the next increment you make the seat. That increment is adding there. So guys, let's talk about few 2-3 things in the journeys of the that was all about Agile journey of deliverables. So deliverables basically once you make the plans in execution or in direct and managed work, deliverables get produced. Once the deliverable get produced, they will basically goes to control quality. In control quality, we check the deliverables according to the quality requirement and agreement. Once the deliverables are according to a quality plan, we call them verified deliverables. Okay, the deliverables are verified. If they are not, then we raise a change request as a preventive action, corrective action, or defect repair. Then it goes to validate scope, where the client checks the deliverable. If the client says deliverable is okay, we get accepted deliverable or validated deliverable. Then this goes to closing. Then this goes to closing. If they reject, of course, we get a change request. Okay, we get a change request. Journey of deliverable. I called it. If anyone has any question on this, they can ask. Another journey of work performance data. Data is the raw information. Okay, any information that is being produced in the execution. Whatever the information is, it goes to that every single department. They compare that data and they make their own report. There are 9-10 departments. Every department make their own report that is called work performance information. All 9-10 reports goes to project manager. He combine them and make one comprehensive report, work performance report, that has everything in it, and that is shared into the managed communication project as a form of project communication with everyone. That is journey of work performance data. Okay, guys. Now, how to handle change request? How to handle change request? Anyone? You, what are you doing? Whenever anyone requests any change, the change request is put into the change log. Okay, whenever anyone requests a change, the change is put into the change log. The change log, it comes, the project manager checks, okay, now this change has been requested. Is it important? Okay, it's important. Is it affecting the deliverables? Yes, it is affecting the deliverable. I can call it as a project manager filter. If it is not accepting any of those things, we reject the change and we notify that this change is not important. This change is not because of this reason. But if that change was valid, it was important, then the project manager do the detailed analysis. What do you mean by that? How it is affecting scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource, everything. And if it is affecting, then the change goes to change control board, which is sponsor, project manager, everyone. Any change that is affecting the baselines or plans, the change control board approve them. If they approved it, then we build the change, we implement the change, and we rebalance the project. If they reject the change, we notify everyone. We build the change, we communicate the change, we implement, then we rebalance the project. If the change is requested from the customer, we don't put the filter, we directly check the detailed analysis, and we tell the customer, hey customer, your change will increase the schedule or will increase the cost. Do you want to pay for that? If they do, then we go to the change control. That's how you handle the change request. You will get 8 to 10 questions on that topic from person to person. That's an important topic. Change request or journey of change request. The last thing, once deliverable are accepted, once the work is done, everything comes in closing. All the documents, procurement document, plan, everything comes there. The first thing we show the client deliverable, accepted deliverable, it becomes final product. We start writing final report. We start writing lesson learned registers. We start updating documents. Once documents are updated, we archive them. Once lesson learned registers are updated, we put them into lesson learned repository. Once the report is done, we show to the sponsor. The sponsor approved it. We share everyone according to communication plan. Now we release the team. Now we start administrative closure, and at the end we celebrate the success. In case if the project get cancelled, we still follow the same closing process. And that's it. And that's PMP for you in 2 hours. Any question? Okay. Yes, Shah.
Sir, can you explain lean, sir?
Lean is waste removal. Lean is all about how do you remove waste. It is based on 7 principles, but the most important is how you remove the waste. What are the value-added tasks? What are the non-value-added tasks? And how do you remove the waste from there? Okay.
Okay. One more, sir. Sir, what's the difference between RAM and the RACI chart?
RAM is only showing responsibility, who is responsible. RACI is a comprehensive, showing who is responsible, who is accountable, whom to consult, whom to inform.
So, sir, RAM is only for stakeholders or for all?
No, it is for all. Both are used for all of them. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Neha. Yes, Neha.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. Sir, the change request journey. When does the PM analyze? In what condition?
Once he check, okay, deliverables are okay there. Now we need to work into those deliverables. We need to improve those deliverables, and that change is valid. By doing that change, it will be helpful for the project.
And in this case, that change can be raised by anybody.
Anybody.
Do we have anybody, right?
Anybody.
But you said that if we are, instead of a customer is raising that change, then
we don't put any filter, which directly do the detailed analysis. Okay. We need to do this change. Why do we need to do this change? We work onto that change.
Okay, got it. Fine.
Yes, Pawan.
So I heard that closing and administrative closing. I mean, what is it? Both are same, or is something like we have
administrative
some difference?
closing is the part of closing, no?
Okay, so exact. So what kind of activities we'll do in
releasing the team, releasing the equipment, closing the equipment, things like that comes under that, no?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Venkat.
Can you quickly touch upon risk register versus risk report?
Risk register has all the risk throughout the project from start till end, and it will keep updating throughout the project. Whereas risk report, it is generated every week or every month for a particular, whenever your risk review meeting is there, you generate the report. It can have everything there. One thing I missed, guys, qualitative risk is used only for individual risk. Quantitative can be used for individual as well as overall risk. Anything else, Venkat?
No, so basically risk report is a subset of risk register.
No, it's not a subset of, it's an entirely different document that is generated for the risk review meeting, which gives the entirely how the risks are happening. But it is discarded every after, it is for that just that period. Whereas risk register is for throughout the project. It is not a
okay, so just for that, okay, just for that meeting or that period, but for that particular meeting, we show all the risks using the risk report.
Yeah, what has occurred, what can be occurred, and basically you get data from the risk register also in risk report. No? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, Ambika.
Hi, Amer. I want to know about the rolling wave planning, progressive elaboration, and then also the adaptive planning. I saw somewhere this
Adaptive planning is
adaptive planning.
is not is it just a made up term in the questions. Okay, we don't plan in adaptive. Adaptive is a change driven, so that is not used there. Progressive planning is used for plans. We have like stakeholder plan, scheduling plan. Like for scheduling or scheduling plan, we use progressive elaboration. Inside those plans for activities, we use rolling wave planning. That's the only difference. Both means initially we have high level plans, then we make them more detailed. Both are same thing, but for plans we use progressive elaboration. For activities we use rolling wave planning. Okay, Ambika?
Thank you, Amer.
Sure. Yes, Alvin?
Yes, sir. I would like to know the main difference between critical path method and critical chain method.
That's not important for the exam. First thing. Second thing, critical path method has all the reserves inside. Inside the activities, the reserves are not shown to everyone. In critical chain, we put all the reserve and we have visible reserve, but that is not important for exam. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Shaji.
Okay, for this closing steps which you told, do we need to go with that particular sequence, or is it like anything, any sequence can be done anytime?
Final report is the last thing. That is the most important thing.
Okay.
Everything else you can do simultaneously. And
Okay,
celebration happen in the end. Team, that is important. Critical thing is team is not released unless all these documents are updated.
So if we say the team will be released once the final report is approved by the sponsor.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it does not mean that all the team is not released. The purpose is that you must have those team members who are going to write the lesson register. Because you know that throughout the project, the team members come and go. That is a different thing. Whose work is completed, he goes. But you must have few team members who are going to write lesson. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else, guys? Okay. So let me have a question. While we are doing any project, we always need to look at the compliance, what are health and safety compliance, quality compliance. We need to work into that compliance to make sure we are following that particular compliance requirement, and that compliance, all the compliance are negative. They are threat, they goes into risk register, and whatever we are concluding in the project is to the governance system, how the governance is doing. And as a project managers, as a project manager, we need to make sure that continuous improvement is there. Yes, Venkat, that is 1 to 10, 0 to 6 D tracker, 7 to 8, and 9 to 10. So throughout the project, we need to see how we can improve. Kaizen is there to continuously improvement. We have plan, do, check, act for the continuous improvement. We do retrospective lesson learn is for the continuous improvement. So that's basically about the compliance requirement.